And finally, Jeff, I'm very curious to know. You know, we've seen this trend so far to build large-scale RAS facilities. There's been a lot of Norwegian capital, Nordic capital. Seems to be quite focused on the Americas and Europe. But what's going on in Asia? I know that you're very active in this space, and please give us an overview.
Sure. So when everybody started talking about salmon, you know, our focus is mainly on like the cheaper fish, like tilapia, catfish, the freshwater fish, because you know, looking at the Chinese market, I would say majority, 90% of Chinese people are still, you know, not rich, so they can't afford salmon, even though the salmon consumption in Asia is growing like crazy because of sushi. I mean, even in Taiwan, in Japan, you know, we have our own ship boats, like, you know, like basically go out and start catching salmon when they farm salmon. Even like the Chinese, they're building, you know, these like, you know, like on the North Sea, there's like a huge hexagon, you know, like, you know, salmon fish farm. But, you know, to the extent that, you know, our focus is mainly about, when everybody focuses on salmon, our focus is mainly on, you know, spreading technology where we can build a cheap enough, you know, efficient, you know, a product where it can use, especially in China, in countries like Brazil, South America. And that's why, you know, we're confident that, you know, I'm expanding into the US market as well. Because salmon is not our focus. Our focus is tilapia. And because of the trade war, because of the COVID, because the freight increased like 400%, if you look at the tilapia price compared to salmon recently, tilapia price in the US is $7.50 per pound, and salmon is $9.50. Okay, and you know, tilapia from Indonesia is selling at Costco $8 per pound. You look at salmon, right? So there's a huge increase in terms of the pricing. So we want to make sure that we can spread our technology, and the way of doing that is we give away our equipment to local farmers in Taiwan. We are testing our equipment because when we started in China, we were locally freshwater equipment company. We never done saltwater fish. Okay, so we gave the equipment in Taiwan we built a showroom. We have fish farmer like has 30 or 40 years experience. They do clam, they do shrimp, they do eel, they do tilapia. We just gave it, here's a tank, use it. And in the last 3 or 4 months, we were able to turn freshwater tilapia into seawater, and the price increased like 200% because it's like now it's the seawater fish. So, you know, when I see this market, of course, you know, salmon could have, you know, when people are focusing on all these huge bigger margin fish, like salmon or, you know, yellowtail, tuna. But our focus is mainly to we want to build a system that's capable of doing in every places. Like for example, in Japan, right, surrounded by sea. So we are also going to, after COVID, we're going to work with Japan Aquaculture, Japan Coast, where we're going to use our tank and build facilities, you know, near the seaside, and we will be able to, you know, fish farm like tuna fish as well. So I don't want to limit, you know, to a certain species. I want them to be built that will cater to different species by, you know, just a small operation. Because right now we are testing eel right now. So that's what I'm trying to say is like our focus is mainly on the freshwater fish, where there's a huge more demand. Like
Jeff, I think I've lost you on volume.
You hear me now?
Oh yeah, it just cut out. Yes.
Sorry. So I'm saying that because these are two huge different markets. Okay, if you like salmon, then you think catfish has a muddy smell. But if you like tilapia, then you think salmon has a fishy smell. So when everybody's focused on salmon, our focus is on freshwater fish, because that's where 90% of the human population are depending on, especially in the U.S. and South America or South Africa. And even in China right now, 90% or 95% of people are still poor. They cannot afford salmon. They never seen salmon before in their life. So they're still relying on shore fish. So what I'm trying to say is we are focusing, to develop a technology that's capable of delivering RAS to different species using different type of water and in different environments. And that's our focus.
Actually, Jeff, I wanted to come back to you on this question as well, just on the margin question before we move on to other species, because you seem to be saying, or you were saying in your previous comments, that that you can profitably farm these perhaps lower value species in a RAS system.
Correct. Basically, you got to think about in Asia, right? Usually we consider tilapia to be the cheapest fish in Asia, especially China, Vietnam, Taiwan. So these fish farmers, they only make about 10 cents, 20 cents per pound to raise these fishes. But if we were to raise these fish in US, my net profit margin is $1. It's almost 12 times more for raising the same fish, just different locations. So, and the reason we're using RAS is because we are able to control the environment in a more smaller scale of water. Our tanks is 100 tons compared to if you were trying to control the water quality of 1 hectare of water, then that's a lot, right? If I want to turn this 100 hectare of water into seawater, it's going to be a problem. So, like everybody else says, is the design, the cost of RAS really determines your profit margin. And because Nocera, we can develop a system that is cheap enough that I can recover my cost in 3 years. Because of COVID, we actually have requests from the US. A lot of my friends, we got requests from the Brazilian government. Can you build a family-size system? Can you build a system that I can put in my backyard? And we did. We actually built a 10-meter system with independent filtration system, independent biomass system in a tank that's only about 10 meters wide, 1.5 meter high, and that can be operated by itself. And the most important, the beauty of this system is it only takes me 1 kilowatts, to power the whole RAS. Okay, think about that. 1 kilowatt of power. Okay, so that's how efficient that we are right now. And to increase the density of this high density fish farming, we actually equip with our own design of oxygen generator. Okay, so our tanks are filled with oxygens, not water bubbles. So to the extent if I want to put 5,000 kilo, 10,000 kilo into a tank, I just turn on my oxygen generator and the fish will survive. So it's like economy of scale. So right now, because we had a press release, we're going to co-develop a 60-hectare of industrial park for fish farm in Taiwan. We got invited to Georgia. So right now we are in discussion. Nocera is almost like the TSMC of fish farming in Taiwan. Okay, so we have the whole supply chain of hatchery, fish farming, fish feed, processing and frozen storage. So the state of Georgia, Atlanta in the US, actually is inviting the Taiwanese government to go over there and invest and build a whole supply chain. So if we were to build, I did the math, right? If I were to invest $300 million in build 5,000 tanks, we're gonna make about $100 million in a year. So talking about margin, the margin is big. If you can massively produce this fish in a controlled environment. So that's why when people start talking about salmon, sturgeon, there's no, I mean, it's not that hard to farm sturgeon. Okay, it's just water. What kind of water? What kind of equipment? The design is how do you produce equipment that everybody can afford, and I think that's the most important part. And with Nocera, we are able to do that.
And just there's a couple more questions on capital. Jeff, I'm going to come back to you on the capital elements of RAS technology. We've seen that the Norwegian Stock Exchange has been an important outlet for investments in land-based systems. What about in Asia? Do you think major investors in Asia are ready to back kind of major systems? I am quite intrigued as well with your own model that you're looking to other continents. Perhaps does that speak of maybe the difficulty of raising finance in Asia, or do you think that major groups are ready to back projects?
Actually, when we look at the price earnings ratio in the Chinese stock exchange, some of these fish feed companies, some of these fish farms, they're trading about 100 times over their PEs. So actually, people really buys into this, especially when you are profitable. Okay, and everybody knows that RAS has a social impact. It saves energy. It provides more organic fish, and it's just that the Chinese market is different because Chinese market likes live fish rather than the fish being processed. So where we see in terms of capital, I can see China being one. It's they have a clean water policy, so definitely a lot of capital will go into the RAS system in China, and also globally because the dependence on the U.S. import market. The United States will put in a lot of capital to build its own fish farms in terms of tilapia. Okay, think about it, right? Before the trade war, the Cheng group out of Hainan, they were able to sell annually 4,800 container tilapia to Walmart. Now 4,800 containers gone, right? So there's no more tilapia to the U.S. So the Chinese went to Brazil, to South America, to buy all the tilapia out of South America and Brazil. So the Brazilian tilapia almost like 100 times. So that gives you the story, right? So to extend that, that's why we are expanding into the U.S., having locally grown. And another thing that I want to kind of point out is that we are different. We're trying to do something that everybody else is different, because everybody's so focused on technology, the design. Your RAS system is so high tech. But remember one thing is when you get to high tech, you have to hire high tech people. And that's something that we realize. Okay, and we try to give our system to be tested by the local farmers. We found that the simple systems are the easiest way to give. We wanted to design a simple system that everybody can use. Maybe it's cheaper to have a system that is so high tech, so energy efficient. But remember, your fish farmer, they are not like super engineers. So in a way, we want to be the IKEA of RAS. I want somebody to buy our system. They can install it themselves by watching a video, and voila, you're done. So that's what we have done in the last design. So and that's why, because of COVID, it kind of gave us. So we're going to see a lot of merger and acquisition going on, especially COVID. What happened in COVID. So in terms of the capital, I think definitely from the public side and the private side, a lot of money will be put into RAS investment. And also, we're trying to encourage not only the big players, we're trying to encourage the small players, even individuals, to join. The Brazilian government is inviting us to Brazil mainly because they want to improve poverty. They want us to build systems in Brazil so each individual farmers can fish farm tilapia and sell it back to the government.
Right.